everybody? Welcome back to the Bay Bolts channel with a Stanley Cup Finals rematch tonight. The Lightning back in their black alternate uniforms, taking on the Dallas Stars and defeating them 5-0. My name is Michael Wax, joined as always with my co-host Jake Recker. Jake, I see you are wearing the alternate jersey. How are we feeling tonight?
Michael, play all night. Another amazing game for the Lightning. You know, the hashtag for when they wear these jerseys is disrupt the night, and disrupt the night they did. They played a fantastic game. I understand why Dallas didn't want to play us for so long. We finally got that matchup, though. Can't wait to get into this game. There are so many positives and so few negatives. This just makes you, how could you not be happy on this beautiful Saturday night? Well, Sunday morning when you guys are watching this, but fantastic game.
Fantastic game, and I gotta say, to start off the game, not so fantastic. The Stars really controlled possession for that start of the game. I made a comment when I was covering the game that it really looked like they looked up to the ceiling and saw that Stanley Cup banner and said, we really missed our opportunity to go and get one. So we're going to try to get our revenge tonight and try to show that we are a team that's for real. But a stat that I had heard before the game, I don't know if you had heard, Jake, the Stars had one win in their past 8 games entering tonight's matchup against the Lightning. So the Stars team that was struggling for the most part of the schedule coming into tonight's game really showed a lot of fire and passion at the beginning, which I think the Tampa defense really did a great job at limiting the Andre Vasilevsky saves that he had to make.
I think the Lightning defense later in that period looked up at the Stanley Cup championship banner too and said, "Wait a minute, we beat these guys. We can take it, no problem." They turned things around quickly. But yes, credit to the Lightning defense. They did a fantastic job. We'll get in this a little bit later when we talk about Vasi, but 20 shots on net tonight. So a fantastic job by that defense to prevent high chances. There weren't many rebounds at all. That's a little bit of credit to Vasi, but the defense played fantastic tonight, which is really good to see. That always helps out your goaltender, obviously, and is a good sign when you can do that. But yeah, credit to the Stars. They did start off the game very well, but I'm more happy that the Lightning were able to make quick adjustments this time. It wasn't like they made the adjustment in the second period when they're already down 1-0 or something like that. They made a quick adjustment in this first period and were able to come right back and play good defense and start to take control of the game as we progressed in the first period. So that was a really good sign from this team because, as I've said before, good teams make adjustments. And you mentioned Dallas, only winning, what was it, one game in their last six, I believe, correct?
One game in
Uh,
their last like 9, including
Right. And,
tonight.
and this has been a really tough season for Dallas. Obviously, they got off to a very late start because of the COVID issues, then had a lot of games postponed due to the weather going on in there and all the power outages that they had. So, listen, we know as a Lightning fan that, the Lightning struggle with rust, and it seems like Dallas has struggled with that same kind of thing. So, this has been a tough season for them. But obviously, again, you've got to find ways to win, and the Lightning have been doing that this year. So, it's good to see that they made quick adjustments, and they really just once they got going in this game, they did not stop.
Yeah, and I think that the change in momentum really came during that Patrick Maroon fight about 5 to 6 minutes into the game, or 6 to 7 minutes into the game, excuse me, where Patrick Maroon uh, fought the other big rig, Jamie Alexiak, which is something that we haven't seen before. And Maroon, in my opinion, he lost that fight, but it sort of regenerated the Lightning a little bit. You don't have to win every single fight to get your team to play at their best, which I think Pat Maroon, a veteran guy, really got the Lightning to realize that they weren't playing their best, at least offensively, and they should continue to press on in the offensive zone. And immediately they started to do that. Firstly, they had to kill off a penalty, but which is something else we'll get into in this game, are penalties and the penalty kill. But overall, a great momentum shifter. We just mentioned the penalties. Let's talk first about the penalty kill. Fantastic. 6 penalties against this entire game, 2 in the first, 2 in the second, 2 in the third, and the Lightning just didn't let the Stars do anything. You mentioned earlier they had 20 shots on that the entire game. That was with 6 power play opportunities. This Lightning penalty kill is for real. And we were joking before we got started recording. It was Anthony Cirelli's return game to the lineup, and he was like the sixth or the fifth or the sixth biggest contributor to the penalty kill in the forward group, which is just insane when you really think about it, considering he used to be the number one guy. So, I'll let you get into this, like the penalty kill, what you thought of it. But from my perspective, just a flawless game from the penalty kill.
No question. I think there's no question now that this is the best penalty kill in the NHL. I don't even think that's crazy to say anymore. They're so good. What they do such a good job of is not letting teams set up passes. We've seen the Lightning how when they can get their power play going, which we will get into later as well, they can find that rhythm of making good sequences, get really good passes, get the goaltender moving. The Lightning penalty kill does not let their opponent do that. They don't let them have clean zone entries. They do such a good job of putting pressure on these other teams that they can never get anything set up. So even if they have a good power play, they can't get those opportunities in the first place. We saw that against Florida, who has a very good power play. So this was a fantastic job by that penalty kill. Barclay Goodrow, Blake Coleman, heck, even Steven Stamkos was out there on these penalty kills as well. Everybody did a fantastic job, really making sure that there were no opportunities. And even when there were opportunities, again, this goes for Vasti as well, who they say, their goalie is your best penalty killer out there. They don't let rebound chances, because a lot of the times you'll see, a lot of time, many goals can come from big rebounds, which are almost impossible to stop a lot of the time. So, they didn't have any second opportunities. So, penalty kill was absolutely fantastic. It's seriously, I think, the best penalty kill in the entire league. Whatever they're doing right, and we just want to keep seeing that. And obviously, Blake Coleman and Barclay Goodrow have been huge additions that have made this penalty kill even better. Which is really good to see. That can be really helpful in playoff runs and in any situation, obviously, as it doesn't let the other team get momentum, and you actually pick up a little bit of momentum themselves. They killed off a 5-on-3 on this game. Granted, it was only about 12 seconds, I think, but still, nonetheless, that can be a very dangerous situation. Fantastic job at the penalty kill. I love it. But Michael, let's also talk about the power play, which, Michael, if you guys watched our last video, we called out the power play and we said this needs to change. We said what can we do? And one of the things I said was, let's get Andre Palat some more shots. And 3 seconds into their first power play, it was Andre Palat who put the puck into the back of the net, and then they ended up going 2 for 2 on the night on the power play, which was awesome. So the power play finally got things clicking. I don't know if it was just they were playing the Stars, who have been struggling as of late, but whatever they did, let's carry that into these games in the upcoming games here in the recent weeks. But the power play, absolutely fantastic tonight.
The power play was great in both of their opportunities. The first one is a little bit hard to gauge on, how good is this power play, because it happened 3 seconds into the penalty. There was a lot of puck bouncing around. They gave assists and then they took assist away in the scoring book. They didn't know who actually touched it. They only knew who shot the puck, and it was Andre Palat. Great shot. It's just not the way that you would expect to see power plays really move and see who's going to what spot when they're setting up. So, I love that they scored on the power play in the first opportunity. I didn't really put that much stock into it, though. The second time was fantastic. You've got that first unit just moving around. They went with the original unit, what it used to be for the majority of the season before they started to switch things up, where they had Hedman, they had Stamkos on the left, they had Point on the right, they had Plot in the bumper area. I'm trying to remember who that fifth guy was. I believe it was Alex Killorn also in the bumper area. And then the second unit comes on. It's a unit that hasn't really seen a lot of time, and it puts together a fantastic passing play where all four of Mikhail Sergachev, Pat Maroon, Tyler Johnson, and Yanni Gord touched the puck within the span of 7 seconds. And Maroon just gets the backdoor tap and a brilliant pass from Tyler Johnson, who, again, we've been critical of before on this channel. But, that's a tape to tape pass right there. And he's able to get a goal. And that's the type of power play that I think a lot of people are expecting, where it's okay if you don't score every time. And it's okay if you don't score with your first unit every time. But if you're generating chances like that, like if Anton Hudobin would have slid over and made that save on Maroon, that would have been one, a fantastic save. But two, I would have been like, okay, that is a great opportunity. Those are the type of opportunities I want to see from the second unit. So the fact that the Lightning were able to capitalize on those, I'm very happy with. But overall, I thought the power play for the chances that it got capitalized in spades really showed a dynamic side to it that we haven't seen over the past couple of games. Just a really, really solid jump, a really, really solid job done by both of the penalty kill and the power play. And we talk so much about what sort of players have big games, and for me, it was really hard to figure out who, because you look at this game, not everybody really did. Like everybody really did their job. Like nobody was really a sore thumb tonight. You could say some individual players had lackluster games compared to the rest of the group, but overall, I thought it was a solid team game, and you could really pick out maybe 10 or 11 guys for those 3 stars of the night that they do at the end of the game.
Yeah, you really could. And that's what you love to see is when it's not one player putting the team on the back. Obviously, that's great to win a couple of games because you're going to need that sometimes. But this was the best Lightning team. This is the Lightning team you want to see, where they're able to get everybody involved and everybody going. That's always obviously very ideal. So it was really good to see everybody get involved, everybody get going. Even Anthony Cirelli, who just came back. Heck, Eric Cernak, who we were a little worried we might lose for a while, he played a very solid game as well tonight. So right, just really very, very, very little to complain about. But I think we should talk about a couple of the negatives from this game because, again, as I always say, there's always negatives from the positives and there's always positive from the negatives. But one of those things is the penalties. Michael, this is still killing us. Now, the good news for the Lightning, as we mentioned before, is our penalty kill is fantastic. So it seems like we could take 100 penalties and still be okay. But it's eventually going to break. It's not something that is never ever going to break. If you just start keep hammering away at this, it's the other team is bound to score a goal, especially when you're playing a very good power play as well. So they have got to limit these penalties. I know some of these calls were really soft, bad calls, but you're going to have that in every game. But they took 6 penalties. When you're taking 6 penalties, you're obviously doing something wrong. So that's got to stop. They really have got to try to limit those penalties. And even if the team doesn't score in that, usually a good power play can pick up the momentum for their opponent, which can become an issue later on in the game. And they start picking up momentum. They start playing better 5-on-5. Next thing you know, they start scoring some more goals there. And the next thing you know, they take the lead or tie the game or whatever the situation is. So I would really like to see them get more disciplined and try to limit those penalties because 6 is way too many.
Yeah, when you spend a fifth of the game on the penalty kill, that's going to hurt you, even if you have the best penalty kill in the league, which is something you mentioned earlier. Like, this is getting to a point where you have to wonder if, and this is weird because they are playing Rick Bowness today. Rick Bowness is the new, you know, Dallas Stars head coach. This team was so undisciplined under Rick Bowness, and it got changed so quickly when Rick Bowness left, and Todd Richards came in, and there were other assistant coaches that really morphed to the Lightning's game. They were more defensively sound. They were taking less penalties, and the penalties that they did take, they were able to kill off quite easily. Well, I'm starting to wonder if Todd Richards leaving is actually a big deal for the Lightning because I have full faith in the coaching staff, but it this does not seem like a problem that happened last year, or this does not seem like a problem that save for the series against Columbus in the playoffs, happened in 2018, 2019 either. Like these are problems, and by these I mean just the penalty kill or just the penalties in general. But this is a problem that it needs quick correcting. Like, this is not a thing where you say, "Oh, we'll handle it when it's playoff time." No, if you keep on taking penalties in game 40, in game 45, 50, 55, 56, game 1 of the playoffs, it's gonna come back and bite you. Again, I hate referencing the 2019 series against Columbus, but the penalty kill was 5 for 10 in that series. That's just not acceptable. You can't take that many penalties in a whatever it is game stretch. Teams are going to bite you.
Yeah, it's something that needs to be looked at and needs to be fixed. But I do have full confidence in this team. They've obviously been able to fix almost every issue they have. All this one did seem like it's kind of a reoccurring one, and it's been a problem for the whole season. Hey, maybe the penalties are really bad tonight because Rick Bonus was just back in the building, so the Lightning were kind of defaulted back to the way they played under him.
Wow.
I know that was mean, but you
Wow.
know, it is an issue. Hopefully, the team does start to take a look at this, and we can see them. We have seen this team stay disciplined as well. We've seen them take minimal penalties. We actually compliment them a couple times on these quick strike episodes. So hopefully, we can see them get back to that. They just need to be a little more consistent with not taking penalties. And listen, these kind of games are going to happen. You're going to have games where you kind of just get called a bunch because there's a lot of bad calls. That makes sense, but they need to be consistently, getting just maybe two or three penalties, and then every once in a while having one of these games. Ideally, we never have it, but that's just not the way things work. So hopefully, the Lightning can figure out what the problem is. They can become a little more disciplined, and Cooper maybe puts a little more pressure on the guys, saying, "Hey, stay out of that penalty box," because that would be ideal. Michael, let's talk about the faceoffs as well, though, because I know this is something really big for you, as you have been someone that is a huge supporter of the Mitchell Stevens hype train, who's unfortunately injured right now. It's a big part of the faceoff because he does so well. But
Mhm.
it wasn't ideal to start, but the Lightning ended up, I believe, at 44%, if I'm not mistaken, or right around that mark for faceoffs at the end of the game, which is an improvement. I know you'll talk about this, but wasn't great to start things off. But the fact that they were able to end the game at 44% is a positive sign, and seeming like they might be moving in the right direction.
Yeah, so they ended the game. I'll start with a positive. They ended the game at 47.5%, which honestly is pretty good. Like, for a team that, you're facing the Stars, Stars have a high powered offense. They have a couple of really, really good centers that win faceoffs. Sometimes you're going to lose faceoffs. It's not always going to be 50-50. If you are, but let's say above 45%, I think that's a good night against a team like the Stars or the Hurricanes or the Panthers. My problem was that they were 33.3% after the second period, which just goes to show you how dominant they were in the third. It's not like this team is incapable of winning faceoffs because they did in the third period. And it's so strange to me how they dominated play in the first two periods, but they were also 1 for 3, or 1 for every 3 faceoffs. Like, they didn't have beginning puck possession. They got the puck very quickly, but they didn't have it originally. And I wonder if this was a game where, let's say, at third two periods, they were 45%, 50% of the faceoff dot. Could it have been 7-0, 8-0? I'm just spitballing here. These are wasted opportunities. You're missing the opportunity to get the puck faster if you win the faceoff. And I know a lot of that has to do with offense, or with the Stars being in the offensive zone for penalties, because the refs were not great tonight in terms of calling a ton of penalties, both for and against the Lightning. But if that's the case, then you need to find better people on your penalty kill to take faceoffs. Again, this is a thing where, like, I'm not advocating that one guy is going to fix this, even though I love Mitchell Stevens. I think this is a team thing that needs to be talked about, because, as we saw in the third period, this team is capable of winning faceoffs and getting puck possession and scoring goals, because ultimately that's what they did in the third period. So that's my little, I guess, spiel about the faceoffs. I'm a little frustrated about it, but this is something, I think, besides penalties, this is something that can be corrected game by game by game. the penalties need to stop immediately.
Right. Well, and the good news, as you mentioned there, they can win these faceoffs. We saw in the third period, they ended the game at 44%. So they can do it. And I am happy though that they did improve at the end of the day. It wasn't ideally how you'd want to do it. Obviously, you want to be a lot more consistent throughout the game, but that is a good sign that they are slowly improving there. And hopefully that trend can continue and we can see one of those games where they dominate on the faceoff circle and get one of those 7-0 wins. Because it's for sure you can score more when you have control of the puck very quicker. You're not wasting time on a power play or whatever it may be. But again, it is positive that it seems like it is improving. The question is now, will it continue? But those are two, at the end of the day, minor things because I mean, other than that, they really just played a fantastic game tonight. That was really good to see. I've loved the way they've been playing these past couple of games. They had that 2-game losing streak where everybody started to freak out a little bit, and I knew this team would do that. They had that little bit of a bump, but they got right back on track, and they've been playing some of their best hockey right now. And they're back in first place in the division right now because the Florida Panthers they lost in a shootout. So they did tie us in points, but the Lightning have a game in hand and have an extra win. So we are back in first place in the Central Division.
It is always positive to see. One more shout out from me. Eric Chernak, uh, not necessarily a welcome back because he was in the last game, but he did take that big shot to it seemed like uh, the top of the foot. It really felt like he was going to be out for a long time, but he destroyed Jason Dickinson against the board.
That's
I
right.
think it was in the second period. Huge props to him. Played a great game and I think a lot of the defense played a good game because I didn't notice them, and that is always the key to a defenseman. Jake, anything else for positive or negative from this game?
I think that just about wraps it up. The Bolts are headed on a road trip now. They're going to be playing Dallas again on, I believe, Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken, this time in Dallas. So hopefully the Lightning can start running away with this road trip now and continue this good play. Hey, Michael, fans are starting to come back inside Amalie Arena. I don't know if you guys have seen, but it's been family and close friends right now in the building. So hopefully it sounds like we are going to get some more and more fans back in the arena very soon, which is very exciting to see. I cannot wait until one day we can get the Lightning fan base, Bolts Nation, back together inside Amalie Arena. Bolts are playing well. Let's keep it rolling.
Absolutely, guys. Thank you so much for watching. That's going to do it for this episode of Quick Strike. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Comment down below to let us know what you thought about this game, what you liked, what you didn't like. What did you think of Anthony Cirelli and his return? Because he had a fairly solid game, if we do say so ourselves. Ring that bell for notifications to get alerts on every single video that we post because it's not just game recaps, guys. We have so much in the vault, whether it's recaps on previous trades that have been done, whether it's deep dives on players. Hopefully, very soon we have a special project that's going to be coming out in the next couple of days. I'm hoping. But again, follow us on social media: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at Bay_Bolt. Follow us on Twitter for our news notes and game recaps, which is on every single platform, but especially on Twitter. I'm usually covering the games. Come hang out with me during game time, or Jake or Phil, any of us that are covering the games. Uh, we have a great time interacting with you guys. Uh, thank you so much for watching, guys, and we will see you when the Dallas Stars take on the Stanley Cup champion Tampa Bay Lightning on Tuesday.
Go Bolts.